extremely entertaining. So I'd like to get him one of those sandwiches and see how that goes. We are Get Up. We are live above the Heineken River Deck at Pier 17. Big Perk is in OKC. The Windman is in OKC. JB Bickerstaff is in my studio. And we're talking about Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals last night in Oklahoma City. You got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the presumptive MVP, taking on the superhero, the Ant-Man. But early on, JB, we got a little action here. We got Anthony Edwards chucking the ball to SGA. What's going on here?
You love it, right? That's the chippiness. That's what playoff basketball is all about. You start to hate your opponent as much as you respect them.
Well, I mean, it was the very beginning of the game. If they hate each other that much, that quickly, this could get ugly. Meanwhile, Julius Randle had a brilliant first half.
Yeah, he was unbelievable. He came to play. When he's knocking down shots like that, it makes it difficult for him to guard. But it's the counter to the Thunder defense. You got to be able to make those threes.
Randle made 5 threes. Edwards makes that one. The T-Wolves lead by as many as 9 in the first half. The lead is 4 at halftime, but then the third quarter belonged to OKC. That's Jalen Williams. He had 19. Now at the other end, the defense, we talk about it, suffocating. Stay with the play. We're going the other way. The Thunder, a brilliant third quarter.
Yeah, unbelievable. Again, their defense, the way it swarms. But what they can do really, really well is they translate that defense and turn it into offense and put so much pressure on you for 94 feet.
32-18 the advantage for OKC in that third. There's SGA getting his own rebound and putting it back up. And then in the mid-range, SGA would score or assist on 20 points in that third quarter. Again, Minnesota had 18 total. OKC by 10 going to the fourth. Chet Holmgren was a factor last night as well.
Yeah, big time. I think in the second half of this game, they decided to go more small or more space. By having him at the 5, he pulls your big away from the basket, which creates space for Shai and Williams and those guys to drive and get the contact.
Chet had 15. SGA had 31 points, 9 assists, and then, a little fun on the finish, the alley-oop Cason Wallace to Jalen Williams. And so it's Oklahoma City in a big way in Game 1, 114-88. But the question is, where was Anthony Edwards? Took just 13 shots, and they were contained largely to the perimeter. Look at that number. His average shot distance was over 25 feet away from the basket, by far the longest in any game in his career, regular season or playoffs, by over 2 feet of margin. Here was Ant-Man after the game.
I definitely got to shoot more. I only took 13 shots. They remind me of like an AAU defensive team, just run and jump, fly around. So it was pretty good. Good to get it out of our system in Game 1. So we'll be ready for Game 2. We should be ready.
He didn't sound overly concerned. We'll dive into the tape with Coach in a minute. But Big Perk, you're new to the conversation here. What was your reaction to the performance of Anthony Edwards, well-rested in Game 1 last night in OKC?
Well, first off, Greeny, let me get on you for a second, because I was watching Get Up yesterday, and I cannot believe that you allowed Marcus Morris to say the nonsense that he was saying yesterday about the Oklahoma City Thunder, that he's not sold on OKC. We're talking about a team that's in the Western Conference Finals right now. We're talking about a team that arguably could be one of the best defensive teams we've seen in NBA history. And here it is last night. I'm watching Anthony Edwards, and I'm doing countdown, and I say, hey, this is a must-win. This Game 1 is a must-win for the Minnesota Timberwolves. And the reason I said it is because you have OKC coming off one-day rest, an emotional Game 7 series against the Denver Nuggets. I'm thinking 5-day rest for the Minnesota Timberwolves. They're going to come out firing. Anthony Edwards, knowing SGA probably about to win the MVP, he's going to come out firing. And it was the complete opposite. And what it showed me last night was that it's just levels to this when it comes down to OKC defense. They have no weakness whatsoever defensively. Every single person on that roster could slide their puppies at a high level. Every single person on that roster are dogs. They have 0 cupcakes, 0 soft players, and that's a problem.
So I want you to watch we put together some great tape for Coach, because you heard Ant-Man say the Thunder played like an AAU defense. So you've got some tape to demonstrate what that means and why it gave Ant-Man such a tough time.
Yeah, the AAU defense is full court pickup, body after body, multiple people's on your best offensive player to take the ball out of his hands. What I want you to take a look at is every time he has the ball, there's at least 6 eyes on him. He's never able to play one-on-one, and then there's 6 arms around when he's trying to get through crowded spaces, ready to contest, ready to frustrate him, ready to take the ball from him. You know, there's a reason why he shot the ball from 25 feet. Because that's where the space was. So give Oklahoma City's defense credit, because that's what they're elite at.
Windman, how about it?
Yeah, coming in and out of the huddles last night, Greeny, the Timberwolves players were really imploring Ant to be aggressive, go to the basket, drive, because he wasn't able to do that. He only had 1 shot at the rim in the entire game. And I think Ant's reaction was, well, maybe you guys could hit some shots, because they were able to generate a lot of good outside looks in this game. Because the Thunder were focusing so much on Ant, they just weren't able to hit them. And so I think both of those things probably need to happen. But it's easy to say what your strategy is against the Thunder when you actually have to feel it. When you are trying to get Alex Caruso or Cason Wallace or Lou Dort off of you, and they don't just die on screens, it is a bit of a shock to the system. The Timberwolves and Ant especially felt that full throttle last night.
So Big Perk, I mean, I'll go over the number again. His average shot distance was almost 26 feet last night. Specifically, what does Anthony Edwards need to do tomorrow night to get his team a win in Game 2?
Well, one, they got to get stops and get out in transition. And that's still hard because OKC gets back in transition defensively. To be honest, I think Anthony Edwards, he's probably going to have to use the screener, use more screens, or even take a page out of Steph Curry book where he's playing off the ball and coming off of screens. But as far as him trying to go isolation against this OKC team, it's not going to work. It's not going to work because there's no one that you could search out. Every single guy on that roster, from Luke Dort to Cason Wallace to SGA to Alex Caruso, even their bigs, all of those guys are great one-on-one defenders, and they do a great job of shelling behind the guy that's being isolated. So he's going to have to make outside shots. That's the only shots that are going to be available. The only thing else is find a way to get to the free throw line. We saw Shea didn't have it going last night. What did he do? He got to the free throw line.
Yes, I'm looking for the number here very quickly. Anthony Edwards last night, 5 of 7 from the free throw line. The team shot 21 free throws. Again, they shot 51 threes, Minnesota did last night. Here's what I feel like I'm hearing, Coach, as we're having this conversation here. In every game and in every series, there's a team that is dictating and a team that is being dictated to. It feels like Oklahoma City dictated to Minnesota the style in which this game was going to be played. So that brings us back to, can the Timberwolves change that? This is what OKC does. It really caused problems for Ant-Man and Minnesota. Is there something that Minnesota can change up?
Well, yeah, and that's what it's going to come down to, right? That's what the playoffs is all about, is can you counterpunch? So Oklahoma City came out, set the tone. Now Minnesota has to come back and counterpunch.
What's the punch? You're the coach. What's the punch?
Well, first, you got to make some shots. Like, you know, I know it sounds simple, but they created a ton of wide open shots. You got to knock those down. You got to play with more tempo and then allow Anthony Edwards to be off the ball some, because they're going to help even if it's Anthony Edwards. So if you allow Mike Conley or one of those other guys drive the ball, now Anthony Edwards can be on the perimeter and get some easy catch and shoot opportunities as well.
X19, Cindy, is just to give an illustration to the point that Coach is making here. The Timberwolves shot 11 of 39 on what we describe as open threes. They actually shot better on contested threes. So, look, when we say, Windman, that it's a make or miss league, is it oversimplifying it to say that last night was just a lot of missing by Minnesota, and then Game 2 they start doing a lot of making, then everything will look very different?
Yeah, and I think that's a natural inclination when you play a team like Oklahoma City, but go look at the stats throughout the season. You see that happen over and over and over. Yes, you think it's a bit of a one-off, especially their bench. Minnesota's bench gave them nothing last night, which is unusual. They have one of the best benches in the league. But this happens. The Thunder bait you into these shots for a reason, and it does tend to work. But I would say that one place to start would be staying out of transition. Like Coach said, in the last two games, Game 7 against Denver, Game 1 last night, the Thunder have outscored their opponents by 51 points in points off turnovers. That is an unsurvivable measure. So if you don't give away those easy baskets and play more half-court basketball, you're going to have a better shot against it.
Yeah, the Thunder had 31 points off.
You can't help it.
Yeah, go ahead, Perk.
You can't help it. Every time we talk about the Thunder, we talk about their opponent and we say, oh, don't turn the ball over. Well, they led the league this season in forced turnovers. Mm-hmm. So it's not like they're making you turn the ball over. With their physicality, with their active hands, they also led the league in deflections, right? And so this is what this team does. They hang their hat on the defensive side of things. Yes, we know they have SGA. We know that it was the leading scorer this past season. But when it comes down to the Thunder, let me say this. They're never going to change. Their defense is going to travel, whether it's in OKC, Minnesota, the YMCA, the LA Fitness. They are going to be the same every single night. A bunch of piranhas, hyenas, they're going to jump on you like that every night defensively.
I feel like if I'm understanding what you're saying, Big Perk, I'll put it in the form of a question. You know, I like to ask, was this a bad game or a bad sign for the Timberwolves of things to come? Which way would you go?
Oh, it's a bad sign. The Timberwolves are in trouble. I don't see this. Look, this series is not going past 6 games. I'm telling you this right now. Minnesota might get one. I'm telling you, you have to see it up close in person. I saw it last night with my own 2 eyes. The Oklahoma City Thunder didn't even play their best basketball, to be honest. And they didn't even, I thought they did okay, but they wasn't at their best. Imagine when they're at their best, what's going to happen. This team is for real. This team is going to the NBA Finals, and they should be the favorite to win it all.
Now, they are overwhelmingly the favorite to win it all at ESPN Bet. They have been all along, and they remain a prohibitive favorite to win the championship. You see it now. They're minus 700 to win the series. They're 7.5-point favorite in Game 2. Coach, I'll let you finish it up quickly here. I picked Minnesota before the second round. I said they're my team now to win the whole thing. I just think they look so good and complete. I'm shook. After last night, I am shook. Should I be shook?
I mean, when you sleep on it, probably not, right? I still think that Minnesota, if they create those looks, I don't think they're going to shoot as poorly over a series as they did last night. If you put the ball in the basket, you give yourself a chance. Everybody defends better when they make shots. It brings the energy level up. Again, their bench unit has to be more productive. If their bench unit is more productive, they'll give themselves a shot at it.
All right, I'll leave it there for the moment. Much more on this game as we go, and we will turn our attention to the East, where the roiling rivalry renews tonight at the Garden. Knicks, Pacers again. We'll tell you which team will win and why. Plus,